Howie Thompson, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I appreciate you coming out. So Howie Thompson here. He is from Union, Missouri, right?
Yes.
Somewhere in that area. And you have StickerGeeks.
Yep, StickerGeek. Yep.
StickerGeek.
Yep, StickerGeek
That's
graphics.
important.
Yep,
That is important.
StickerGeek graphics. Yep.
Okay, and so StickerGeek graphic, can you give everyone the rundown of basically what your company is?
Yes. So basically what we do, design, print, install vehicle wraps, digital printing, signs, banners, magnets, decals, pretty much anything sticker-wise.
Yeah.
We just started branching off into electric signage. Mm-hmm. We have a company out of St. Louis that helps us do the installs. They have the cranes, all that kind of stuff. Just eases our burden as far as, manpower and overhead and all that good stuff. So we kind of, basically we'll sell the job, design the job, and then they install it for us and fabricate it.
It sounds
using our plans.
Yeah, sounds like a great way to do it. Now, you're talking like the illuminated signs that are up on a building. Like
yes.
if for my gym, I own the fitness parlor in Owensville, Missouri. If I wanted fitness parlor all lit up, stuff like that,
Yep.
You would actually physically make the sign?
Yep, that's what we do. Yep. So we would design it. We will send it out into St. Louis to get it made from another company that we work closely with, mm-hmm. and they install it. They'll get it fabricated, made, bring it, install it, and it's done.
Oh, cool. So me and you I got connected with you through a guy named David Hood.
Yes.
So David Hood, he comes out and he does some upholstery work for me.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the podcast, and he's like, "Oh, you definitely need to get this guy out here, get him on your podcast." And so I reached out, and it took us a little bit to be able to plan a podcast out. But we got out here, and I really like what you're doing. And there's not a lot of people in our direct area that are doing wraps.
Correct.
The rap industry, I feel like, is something that's it's new in a sense, mm-hmm. but it's also growing massively.
Yes. I mean, it works, and it's going to continue to grow because it works,
You said you've been in business for 20 years now.
No, I've been in the industry for 20 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I started StickerGeek in 2019.
Okay. So pretty new still then.
Yeah. So we're still new, and then, like I said, we started Detail Geek also 21, so last year.
But that's predominantly your son's business?
Yep.
But you kind of work together.
Yes.
Is it the same building, or are you guys?
We're in the same building. It's we got 2 suites, so we're 312A. He's 312B.
Okay, cool. Well, those things go hand in hand together.
Absolutely.
Come have your car wrapped, get it detailed. You get it back. It's like a brand new car.
You got it.
That's a great package.
It is. It's convenience. That's what people want. Convenience.
I seen that. Because you're pretty active on social media.
I try.
on all your StickerGeek page and on your own personal page too. I seen that you had a McLaren. Did you do a McLaren?
Yes.
Just one, or do you do quite a few of them?
We do quite a few.
Supercars all around?
There's Lambos in there at any given time. McLarens, a lot of high end stuff, and people don't really think that there's a lot of that out in our area. Mm-hmm. But a lot of our customers are from, St. Louis and the surrounding areas.
Yeah.
But, those are nice, but it's a different type of client. Yeah. It's a different kind of, it's like its own industry essentially.
Really?
Yes, it's a totally different ball game with doing like a color change wrap versus like a commercial wrap for like a plumbing company or your gym or
Yeah. Okay. So that's in my head. I was thinking, I'm like, how many people are getting their vehicles wrapped that aren't in like the supercar industry? But then I totally drew a blank that anyone that has a box trailer.
Yeah.
They're going to want their business wrapped on the side.
Yes.
Or like anyone that has an advertising business where they want it down the side of their vehicle to advertise, just driving advertisement.
Yep.
So is that predominantly what it is then?
Yeah, so most of our work is mostly commercial. I would say it's probably 90% commercial, 10% private client. And a lot of the clients that we do those kind of jobs for don't ever make it on social media just because they don't like the flash, which is it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, so we won't even, a lot of the stuff doesn't even make it onto social media.
Yeah. When I was painting cars, it was the same way. It's interesting how some people don't want you posting a vehicle, and you're not. A lot of times, like if you did a McLaren, it's not like you're tagging the guy in it.
No,
nothing like that. You're just showing off the job because it looks really cool when it's done.
Yes,
it's a very satisfying, rewarding thing. I was very proud of a lot of paint jobs I did when I was painting cars, and there was some people that picked up that I was posting more and more on social media, and I remember a few people asked, "Hey, could you please not share this one?" And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Probably wasn't going to anyway.
Yeah.
But it's still interesting how some people don't want it, even if you don't tag them in it.
Yeah. And then like as a courtesy too, you know, with it being such a drastic change, I don't post it during a lot. Like I won't, if I post like a close up of like a corner of a car, that car's been long gone out of my shop because I want you to be surprised when you come pick up your car, you know? Yeah. So I don't want to give you a little subtle hints. Now, the customer may say, yeah, can you send me some sneak peeks here and there? And I'll do that. But as like a customer courtesy, I won't post anything until they come pick up the car. You know, I'll let them do it first. Yeah. And then I'll say, hey, you care if I throw this on my page? And 99% they don't. Cool. So.
Yeah. I think when the supercar, this whole industry where they're starting to wrap the cars, there's some of them that are so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. Do you know, I think it's called Sheepy. Have you heard of them?
Sheepy Racing.
Sheepy Racing.
Yes. They do a lot of the twin turbo kits on the Audis and yep.
And do you know the guy's name that owns that company?
Is it David? I know of him because I've watched his story on, there's another podcast, Up. It's real popular on YouTube right now.
I'm not sure.
I'll find it after.
Okay. Does the guy that owns the company, is he the one that does it?
No.
He was just on it.
Yeah, he just, it's just like we're doing here. But they did a day in the life of him. I think it was like a couple series, but like his story, you know, how he grew his business. And
oh, how cool.
Yeah. So
I'm going to look that one up.
Well, I mean, because I think I'm a huge car nut. Like I got real issues with cars.
I'm going to actually look it up right now.
Yeah, I think it's called like Up.
Is it Sheepy E? Yeah, Sheep EY.
Yeah, SHEEPY race.
And then owner, who's the owner? Let's find out what his name is. For some reason, the CEO comes up as Alex Soto.
Alex Soto, that might be right. I don't know why I was thinking David.
I'll look up Alex Soto podcast and let's see what comes up. Because healing the world with laughter, Alex Soto, stand-up comedian, F1 Alex Soto on podcast. Talk of sheep, but no, I don't know. No, wait, what's this one?
It's got like a little orange icon. It's a YouTube channel. They do like a dive into different
I bet if I go to
franchising,
YouTube and search it, it'll pop up.
Oh, I guarantee it will.
You think I should just type in Sheepy podcast?
Yes, maybe Sheepy Racing podcast and
podcast. Yeah, because the CEO doesn't always mean owner.
Exactly.
Not this first one, is it?
No, it's not that one. I'll find it for you.
Because that's the one I would really like to watch.
Upflip, right there. That channel's really cool.
Okay, and this is a whole car. These guys do podcasts. This is what this one is.
Yeah, and it's not only about cars. It's a business podcast, Upflip, and if you check out their channel, it's got a whole variety of mobile detailing, T-shirt companies, Etsy stores, and how these people dig into. They just really dive in.
How did that guy come up? Did they talk about it?
He doesn't really.
How did he get to the point?
I think he just kind of started in his garage, working. I think his big thing was Hondas, and then it just kind of evolved.
Oh, he always building motors, because I guess that's I don't really know on the motor side of it. I've always been into cars. But the whole building them, when you start building them, it's a never-ending process.
Oh yeah,
Like
it doesn't stop.
You build the motor, then you got to build the transmission, then you got to build the rear end, and it's just
you're
fuel
always
system.
searching for the weak link.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So I was trying to do it at a young age, and then it just got to be too much. And you never get I'm a businessman. I've always been a businessman, and you never get your money back out of them.
No, they're not good investments.
Never do. And so that's why I was like, I'm going to stay away from it.
I take that back. So I do a lot of research, and I do have another idea that's going to be taking.
Don't give it away. Someone else might take it.
Yeah, I won't give it away. We'll talk about it.
It takes a lot of work
air.
to do it, but yeah.
But there's a lot of cars that aren't bad investments. You got to really kind of watch them. And I've spent the last probably year, that's kind of my side project of building this idea that I have. Mm-hmm. But we'll talk about that another time.
I will say that one of my first hustles at 16 years old was flipping cars. I bought my first car, and then I was like, if I sold this one, I could buy a beater, fix it up, and make some money on it. And nobody really told me that, hey, there's not a lot of money in cars.
No.
Maybe once you get to like a different, on another level, like Sheepy's on.
Yeah.
But it took me a few years to learn that one thing that does hold value in cars is V8 rear-wheel drive cars. That's one thing that it's still not, you're not going to make 50 grand on a car.
No.
But if you're looking for a decent investment in a car, something you can buy, drive for a year, as long as you don't tear it up and you take care of it, you can probably get your money back, is any rear-wheel drive V8 car. Mm-hmm. And I'm a Chevy guy. I just found that they're reliable. I trust them.
Parts are reasonable and readily available.
Yeah, like the LS motor and the LS platform. Yeah, there's tons of information out there for them. Everyone's experimenting with them. They're known to be reliable. I've seen some guys beat on some just LS motors that should not take the abuse that they've taken. And so I've just fallen in trust with them. But yeah, now I try to buy, either I'm a big GTO guy. Okay. I got really big in the GTOs. And I do these as daily drivers. Yeah. So the GTO, I started out with Trans Ams, and then I finally got a GTO. And then GTOs were nice because they had the independent rear suspension too. Yeah. So they just hug the ground.
They can take the turns a little bit.
Yeah.
Highways out here.
Yeah.
They're built for these. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes it a lot better than a Trans Am has a solid rear axle.
Oh yeah.
So it's just a little stiffer. And then I just recently bought myself a new Camaro SS, not brand new, 2011 Camaro SS.
Yeah, that's gen.
Yeah, and I really like it. They're nice. Like the interior is definitely a little bit newer. Yeah, because GTOs, I still love it. I have a GTO right now, still love it. I'll probably go back to driving it here soon. Probably sell the Camaro. Yeah, but I just noticed that I always get a better return out of them.
Yeah, well, I think it's anything that they have a following. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they're always going to be worth something to somebody.
Yes.
So I have another Instagram page, Cars of the 90s. I am a weirdo about cars from the 90s. Mm-hmm. I love IROC Zs. I love Fox Body Mustangs. I love DSMs or Mitsubishi Eclipses, 3000 GTs, Toyota Supra. I love Acura Integras. Mm-hmm. I'm a weirdo about cars of the 90s. And, it's one of those things where eventually I'm going to really put a lot of time into that. But I'm working on, making the money first. Yeah. And then.
What would be a dream car?
Well, funny story. I bought my dream car last year, which was a C5 Z06. It was heads, cam, intake, pro charged. It made like mid sixes to the tires. It ran really well. And then an opportunity.
Is that later? Like, what year would that be?
That was an 03.
That was an 03.
Yeah, mine was an 03, 50th anniversary, mod red interior. It was a really cool car. Mm-hmm. As a kid, I graduated in 01, and that year, I was really, I want a black Z06, know, and I always been a Mustang guy because I couldn't really, I just couldn't afford a C5 Corvette when I was younger, obviously, and now they're actually reasonable. Mm-hmm. Well, I had been out on my own, for a year and a half, doing well, and I was like, I had a turbocharged Fox body that I had had for 13 years at this point, and Fox bodies went through the roof. So I was like, you know what? I think it's time to buy my Z06. So I put my Fox body up for sale, sold it to a guy in Oklahoma. He came and got it. I was like, I think I'm just going to wait for a while. And then about a month later, me and my business partner went up to Ohio and drug back the Z06.
Really?
And then shortly thereafter that, we had we got into our new building, our new facility, or got all new equipment. So I was like, maybe it's time to let's get rid of this. So I did okay. I didn't lose on the car. I had it for a few months and enjoyed it. And but I wanted that safety net, going out and creating more overhead for myself.
Sure.
I didn't need that sitting in the garage for, doing nothing,
Collecting
not making
dust.
me any money.
Yeah.
So I always said, yeah, I can get another one. So
Yeah.
I sold it, and right now I just got a bunch of Hot Wheels.
So if you
in my Chevy 2500.
those are a little cheaper, those probably bring some money back too, depending on what they are.
Yeah, actually, our first house when me and my wife closed on our first house, I sold. I had a significant Hot Wheel collection. I sold it and paid some debt.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? It's something that I remember getting them as a kid. One of my really good friends' parents were big collectors. And they would always get me, because they would check the numbers.
Yep.
Like however many, and they give in. They're like, don't open it.
Yep.
They're like, you're gonna want to keep this. And I'm like, you get a 10-year-old Hot Wheels car.
Oh,
He
it's
wants
coming
to
out
open
of
it
that.
up.
It's not staying in that blister pack.
I'm like, this
instantly.
is torture for me just
Yep.
to give it to me and make me hold it in here. So would you get another Corvette, or you got something else in mind?
No. My next car, actually, I just asked the wife about it last night. I want a Saline, New Edge, like a 99 to an 04, convertible, supercharged. That's kind of my next one. And I've always wanted that car, so I'll buy it eventually.
Is that who makes that car?
So it's a Ford Mustang, Saline convertible.
Okay.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
Yeah, and then my next one will be a GTR.
Yes.
Nissan GTR R35. I will have one very soon.
Do you know the Nissan GTRs? Are those? Let me see. Oh, the newer one or older one?
Yeah, a new one, R35. So it'll be look at it.
Something like the one on top there.
That's the one. Yep.
Holy cow!
Yeah, I will.
When
have
did they?
that.
Have they been making them the whole? They had to
09?
stop.
Well, so like 09, they started that body style, and then I think it was only the Japanese market before that, and then I think they made that body style up until like last year, and then last week the Tokyo Auto Show, they just unveiled the I guess the slightly improved version of that,
Now,
which I guess would be the 2024.
Are they available in the United States anywhere?
The new ones, yeah.
The new ones, brand new.
Yeah, you can go to the Nissan dealership and buy one if
they're
you're
gonna
ready
be
for that.
Driver, like they're actually on the driver's side, like proper left-hand steer
it'll be
stuff.
yeah. It's
Because the other ones
US
are all
spec.
right-hand, ain't they?
Well, a lot of them, yeah. If they're
Some of them are.
JDM spec, they will be. There was the R35s. There's most of those are US spec because they sold them over here.
The R35s, which are what years?
Like 2009 to like 15, I think. 2015,
Gotcha.
2016.
Do you know who Whistle and Diesel is?
Yeah.
Doesn't he have two of them?
He's got the R33s, I think, the older one, early 90s body style, which are super cool.
Are they all considered a Skyline?
Yeah.
They're all just different
It's a
types of
Skyline. It's just like, yep.
But he had a lot of problems with his, didn't he?
Yeah. I think he has a lot of problems with a lot.
Well, yeah, he
He's
doesn't
not very
exactly
gentle
take
on
care
stuff.
of them. I remember he had two of them, and I just catch glimpses and like clips and stuff of his stuff. I watched some of his videos, and I never thought I would enjoy watching the kid. It's not like some people are like, oh, how could you disrespect a vehicle like that? Or how could you tear it? To me, that doesn't bother me at all.
It's his business.
Yeah, I'm like, if it's his vehicle, he paid for it. I could never care less. But I just thought it was like kind of like an immature thing. It was like something I'd never really catch myself watching.
Yeah.
And then I kind of realized that he's just a really big troll. Like his videos are just like all trolling. And I seen the video, and I think it autoplayed on YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube, and it autoplayed on YouTube, and he had like the Air Dior's, the tennis shoes that are really expensive.
I'm a big shoe guy too.
And he had bought these shoes, and I think he was going to use them as like work boots.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he like it first takes them out of the box, and he's like showing them off. He's like, and he creases them.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, this is just doing this stuff just to troll everybody.
Yeah. I'm a car guy, so like I don't like watching him destroy things. But I mean, do you? I like his attitude of not caring what other people think. Mm-hmm. And I think when I was younger, I always did stuff because maybe Ryan wanted me to do something, but now as I've gotten older and more mature, I do stuff because Howie wants to do it, not because I care what anybody thinks. Mm-hmm. I don't I just do not care.
Yeah. I think
that's probably one of the most admirable things about him. Like
at a very young age too.
Young. I had a teenage daughter and I always try to teach her. This weekend, I said, well, why do you want this, such and such clothes? Because I like it. Right answer. Okay, perfect. We'll do it. Now, if it's because Sally and Julie had the same thing, that's where we don't want that, And I think when you can do that and not care what other people, who you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're okay with that, then...
Because he really is it's not like he's a bad person.
No.
There is like a line between like justifying like, okay, this guy does what he wants, but it's not like he's going too far.
No, I don't think he doesn't get involved in, he's not mean to people or disrespect unless you start something with him and then he'll just bury you.
Yeah.
And, I don't personally, I don't you can go online and say what you want, about me. I'll deal with it, face to face, but I won't get involved in all that. So as far as that goes, I don't really
Yeah.
But I feel like that's his business too,
for sure. He gets a lot of attention off of it.
He's
like,
here's some content that's how he markets, you know.
It's a great idea too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you start to go into that atmosphere too, and that's kind of like, even with this podcast here, I have to be careful, like whenever I make thumbnails and I title my thumbnails on YouTube and how I title them, because it's all for clickbait. I'm trying to get attention off it. I'm trying, when someone's scrolling to YouTube, I want them to see the title and be like, what's this guy talking about?
Yeah.
And click on it, or maybe something that kind of gets their blood boiling a little bit just off the title.
Yeah.
And, if you go into the video, it's really not like what I put in the title. The title is just clickbait. But I got to be careful with the guests I have on because, maybe they have businesses. Yeah. They have customers that they're worried about the way they look. Or just the people that I have come on, maybe they have a job that I have to, make sure that I don't.
Yeah, you don't say anything negative about their employer, all that good stuff. I get it.
Yeah. So there's that aspect of it all. But I'm the same way, and it's a whole learning curve for me to be able to get to the point of learning not to worry about other people's opinions so much, because I have some people that might say some things that used to get to me, and I've really started to learn more and more just do exactly what you want.
Well, the better that you do in life, the more they're going to talk about you. Mm-hmm. And I've learned that, unfortunately the hard way. But I'm okay with it. You just realize, it is okay. And everybody they're searching for they're solving their own insecurities through talking bad about Ryan or talking bad about Howie. And
that's a really important thing to know too.
And that's okay. If that's what you want to do, live your life, do your thing. But there's a lot more to life than that. And
sometimes you just got to, as long as you know that that's coming from an insecurity in them, and you don't hit them back with negativity. That's been a big thing for me. like I've had people comment negative things on because I do a lot of TikTok, Facebook, Instagram Reels. I do a lot of content all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've had people comment just, they're saying things, they're trying to joke, but it's in a negative way.
Well, you put so much time and effort into this, no matter what they say, it's going to kind of be like, yeah, that's kind of a kick in the mid section, or, that was disrespectful. But they don't think it's because you're doing something they want to do.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at it. And, the people that you want to view your show are the people that genuinely care about what you're saying, what your content is, and they're going to give you constructive criticism, not destructive criticism.
Yes. Yeah. I listen to both sides of it, and one big thing is I always try to make sure I show love for anybody that supports me. Like those are ones that, like, if they share my post or they like it, I make sure that I tell them, like, hey, thanks so much. Or even like my gym, if I see anybody wearing like my fitness baller t-shirts just out around town or something, I make sure I'm like, hey man, I really like your t-shirt. It looks good on you. And just try to make sure everybody knows I appreciate it. Like, if anyone's listening to this podcast right now, make sure you subscribe and like, because that's how I grow. And I do appreciate it. Like, whenever I had a podcast just a week ago and I got like 10 new subscribers off of it. Good. And it meant the world to me. Just something so small.
One foot in front of the other. That's how one customer in front of the other. That's how I run my business. Like, when I get a new client, it's always great to keep your old customers, keep taking care of them. They keep coming back. Yeah. But when you get a new one, it gives you goosebumps. It's great because it means, so-and-so went out there and they said, Howie did, or I always say, StickerGeek did such a good job on our wrap. Here, you got to take your stuff to them. And that is awesome.
Great feeling.
And there's days that we get stuff that people aren't happy about. It's how you deal with that. It's how to making it right, following up, not avoiding the phone calls.
How do you, like, if you wrap a car, how do you go back and fix that? Like, if I'm sure you figured out a way to really prevent any problems now. Well, but how, like, if there's something wrong, how do you go back and do
you're
it?
Placing a sticker over, hundreds of square foot of around a vehicle that's been on the road. Stuff can fall out of the gaskets, dirt. I always buy, like, when I do a color change versus a commercial wrap, a color change, we'll order a whole roll, even if we're doing a Honda Civic. Because if you call me next week after you get your car done and you're at Walmart and somebody dings your passenger door,
you can put it in.
I've got the same vinyl from that lot number, so the color's going to match. Now, a couple years go by and that same thing happens and we don't have that material anymore. Now we might have an issue of a rewrap.
Yeah.
Because I could replace that door. It might not go. It might not match perfectly.
Yeah, because what's the life on, like, the vinyl like that?
I always tell people, 3 to 5 years is golden. I've had wraps that I've done 13, 15 years ago that the tops are starting to fade and crack. You don't want to leave it on that long. Yeah. Like, it's got a lifespan. Like, get rid of it before it gets to that point, because removing it becomes a nightmare.
I believe it. Yeah, because I'm sure the residue.
Oh yeah, it'll leave adhesive, and if you do it, within reason. And the other thing is what you're using, your product. Use a good product. There's a lot of vinyls that you can get off of eBay and Amazon. I won't install those. I won't.
I'm sure those do not peel off at all without destroying the paint.
I don't know. I don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
I only install what I know, and like, we do a lot of different things with different coatings. So we do a lot of ceramic coating now. Like, both of our company trucks are wrapped, and, like, my wife's car was wrapped with a different ceramic coating. So I'm constantly testing these because I don't want to sell you something that doesn't work.
Right.
I'm not going to do it.
Yep.
You pay me to do it once. Yeah. I don't want to do it twice, one time for free.
Sure.
So I always do a lot of testing, and that's knowledge. I read a lot, and that way I know that when you leave, that I'm offering you the best product available. Like, I know that material, I know what I ordered, why I ordered it, how I took your car apart, how I prepped your car, all those things.
So you physically do every wrap?
I do not now.
Okay.
I've grown. I still do. I do like to spend a day or two in the shop, but it's getting harder and harder as we grow. I do check over things. I do have 2 installers also that are in the shop now full time. And we preach, if this is your car, you have to do it this way. And I have a guideline of how I want things done. So like when our new installer, she's actually from out of town. So from Philadelphia, in fact. So
she just happened to move in the area?
Yeah, she was in the area. She reached out to me on Instagram, and I said, well, we're not really looking, but it's always good to have talent. So
like she moved here for StickerGeek?
No.
She was here.
No, she was here. She moved here, and she couldn't find anybody, I guess, that would take her serious or whatever. Because she went to reached out to a handful of shops in the St. Louis area.
She wanted to do this.
Yeah, that's what she wants to do. So I said, well, all right, well, let's see what we can do. Let's get you in here, see what you can do. I don't have a full-time position available, but I'll do my best.
Yeah.
Well, it's been full time.
Cool.
So, but we have a way that we do. So, like when a new person comes in or comes to work with me, this is how I do a wrap. When this car leaves, I don't want them to be able to tell that you did it or Howie did it or whoever did it. It needs to be StickerGeek did this wrap. It's done the exact way, the same time.
Yes.
We work from top to bottom, passenger side to driver side. I face all the material the same direction, the backing paper. That way, if we ever have a mistake or, oh man, we got to rip this fender off and redo it. Well, shoot, which way was the paper going? I already know which way it was going because it's not even a question.
Yeah, you got to have a system in place.
You have to mitigate risk.
Yeah.
Period.
Right.
And you do, and it's so hard when you're small and you're working. You don't want to take the time out to make those systems. And we had an issue. We addressed it, and is because I wasn't clear on the system. So from that point on, we have systems in place.
Yeah. And as you learn and grow, those type of things change.
Yes.
That was like something I was not prepared for whenever I was going into my first business, was understanding that, when you are working and growing every day, and especially once you start, it's easy whenever it's just you.
Yeah.
You can change every single day.
You can change on the fly easily.
Yeah, but when you have employees, you got to be able to be like, okay, this isn't working out. This isn't efficient. This is costing us money. This is causing us problems.
Yes.
We got to take a step back. We're going to change it to this system, and this is how we have to do it now. And not everybody takes change the same way. Sometimes it's hard for people to understand. They're like, well, I've been doing it this way. You told me to do it this way. And it's like, okay, well, we're growing.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be changes that happen.
Yep.
And this is just what we got to do.
Yep. Well,
it's a hard talk sometimes.
It is. It's a hard talk, but I also think it's in how you talk. As a leader, it's how you approach the situation. So if you come off a little aggravated, they're not going to take it as well as, hey, I always include myself, which is important because I'm no better than anybody else that works there.
It's a great attitude, Howie.
Well, I'll clean the toilet just as well as everybody else will, right? Like this is StickerGeek. We're a team, and that's how I live. And I started the business. I've known I know a lot of people, and most of the clients are clients of mine that have been mine for years. Well, they'll post something and they'll tag me personally, and it drives me. I'm very thankful, but I don't like to be Howie anymore. I like to be StickerGeek Graphics, because it's not just me. It takes an army. Yeah. It really does. And when you're small like that, we each have such a key role. And we just had this come to God moment in early January. Like, hey, this is how I want to kind of do things moving forward. Now that we're starting to get some more people, we got to be a little more structured. We got to do this. We got to do that. And it's. I don't say, oh, Ryan, you're doing this all wrong. We need to do this wrong because it's my fault. I didn't teach you to do it that right.
Is that from working from other people?
Yeah. Yeah, I've worked at a lot of different companies, and I don't have anything bad to say about any of them because I've learned from every owner, every employee, whether I work directly or indirectly, that's how you learn. And thankfully, I've learned the pinch points of this industry, and I'm able to control that from the start. With my company being in it for as long as I have, I know what not to do. That's gonna put us in the right direction.
Sure.
And I think that's been a huge thing. And you learn different things from each owner, each employee, each graphic designer, each salesman. Every salesman has their own different way of doing things, and you learn that along the way.
You can.
Yep.
Some people don't.
Well,
as long as you're willing to learn and grow, that's the important part.
Well, I think that is huge. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't start growing up until like 35, 36.
Really?
Yeah. I was.
And when you say you didn't start growing up, what do you mean?
I was selfish. I made a lot of mistakes. I did a lot of things for my own interest. How
old are you now, Howie?
I'll be 40 in February next month. Yeah. So in that small amount of time, I started reading. I started listening to different people and doing different things and living differently. And when you learn to be selfless, your life's so much easier.
Yes.
And you realize that you're not the only one. You gotta help other people. You gotta bring other people up with you. And I think that's huge. Yeah,
it is huge. And it's amazing how many other people are like that too. And I can't say I'm perfect by any means.
Nobody is.
But I always wanted to own my own business, but I remember at a young age working for other people.
Yeah.
And I remember working for some people that were just jerks, absolute jerks. And that was a big reason for me when I got out into my own business. I was like, I'm never going to treat my employees the way I got treated.
No, you can't. Or you're not. Today's people are much softer now than they were 20 years ago when I started in this industry.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot farther by learning how to adapt. I'm not saying you have to be a pushover, or it's how you approach people with an issue.
Yeah.
You can't just come in your shop just raging out. You're not going to get anywhere.
No. All your employees are going to hate you.
Exactly.
Nobody's going to get along.
The work's going to suck. You got to people.
It resonates throughout everything.
It does. And I said this the other day. If I come in and I'm quiet because I'm concentrating or I'm aggravated with something, it dictates everybody else's mood around me, and that goes for home too.
Yeah.
And like my wife says, if you're in a mood or you're quiet, the whole house is on eggshells. So it does. You gotta, and once you realize that, it's a lot easier to you need to chill out, breathe, and go after it.
Yeah. Have you ever seen someone that's just really mad and pissed off, and everyone around them is like gets super quiet?
Yeah,
nobody's talking. Nobody wants to say anything. Nobody wants to be the interferer in this situation.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. So with your wraps here, do you have a different procedure for like your supercars? I keep going back to supercars just because I'm kind of interested in it.
We can talk about supercars. I like supercars.
Is there a totally different procedure for doing them over anything else? Like, are you more cautious?
Well, absolutely. So the biggest thing is a lot of shops, you better have insurance and you better have a lot of it. You start taking those cars apart because...
How much do you... Okay, so let's talk about that. How much do you tear down a car when you go to wrap it? Do you take the mirrors off? Do you take the weather stripping on the molding?
Each individual application is different. So if you come to me with a yellow McLaren, just like the one we just did, that yellow is going to be super hard to cover. So
why is that?
Well, if you look at a yellow car from the outside, you're going to see all the door. Black is the easiest color to wrap. If you do a black car, if you ever want to wrap a car and you see a black car and you want the black car, but you're like, man, I really like it, gloss red or satin green or whatever, buy a black car. It's just easier.
Is it because of the jams?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like, it looks just like a shadow.
It's a natural shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you don't have to go as deep on those, and you don't have to take them apart as far. But a lot of cars, you really got to take them up. It depends. So I always tell, So you're the client.
Let's say a yellow Lambo.
You come to me with your yellow Lambo, and what color do you want it?
Have you seen the Whistling Diesel's Lambo he bought?
Yeah.
What color is that?
That's Avery Dennison Roaring Thunder, I believe.
That's awesome. You know the exact.
Yeah, I believe that's the one. Or I think his Audi
color.
might be that color. Or the green. Are you talking about the green one?
The green, yeah.
I'm not sure which one that one is. But I know his R8 is Roaring Thunder.
Or maybe it's an R8 then.
Yeah, he's got that. Well, he's got that new Lambo that's that green color that has a John Deere across the windshield.
Yeah, that's probably the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
That dude's ate up.
Yeah.
This one right here. I just think that's such a pretty color.
Yeah, I don't know that color. I don't know that color. So we'll do his R8. So you got a yellow Lambo and you want it that color.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna have to take that whole dang thing apart, and you're gonna want to do jams.
Doors off.
Yes, because you're gonna want to do
this one right here.
Yep, that one there.
Okay, that's a matte color, or is that an eggshell?
Yeah, that's like a satin. It looks like. There.
Okay.
So we're gonna take that whole car apart.
Doors. You taking the hood off?
It depends. So it depends on if you do jams. So like we just did that yellow McLaren, and we did the door jams on that, and it's very time consuming.
I believe it.
It's extremely, and there's so much liability there, you know. So I always do a car. You have to do like a risk assessment. Okay, if I take this mirror off this car to get full coverage, or I can put a nice clean seam where nobody's really going to see it, I'm going to do that all day long. Because, and I'll tell the customer, hey, this is what could happen. This is, the situation that we're in. Are you okay with this?
Yeah.
And most of the time they're fine with that because they don't want to pay you $1,000 to take the mirrors off a car.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Do you have a software that does the R&I and stuff? So you know, like the remove and install, what kind of time procedure it is?
I do not. It's all kind of self-taught. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of these cars, because you'll do one. So like we'll do Huracans. I've done a few Gallardos. I've come to know those cars a little bit better. Like the McLaren, that was the first one I've ever done. So I spent a lot of time on YouTube. And you do because it's information, it's free, it saves you so much time. There's different tricks that I've come up with for doors that I can save myself an hour on each door by doing it a certain way.
Yeah.
And it's just
each
application has its own roadmap, if you will. So yeah, a yellow one, you're going to take that all apart. So, because you don't want to walk around that car and see any yellow.
Yeah.
It's between, in between the windows and all that stuff.
Yeah, because you don't realize the yellow that you can see through the door and the fender.
Oh yeah.
Until you probably, if you change it, say it's like a black or something, and then all of a sudden
it just punches you in the face. Yeah,
I'm sure. Well, when I was painting cars, things like that really mattered.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You can't just not paint that inner jam for the fender or something. Well, when you were saying that, I was thinking about like in an auto body shop, because I did auto body before I went into my own business, owning a gym, and for a year of it, I wrote estimates. I was like a body shop manager assistant. I wrote estimates, and there's lots of different programs, and that they have like I don't know if they would have supercars in there. That'd be interesting to see, but yeah, they had every single car, and then they had. You could go through and
take you 45 minutes to take the taillight out of this car.
Yeah, you get an estimate. Or that's what everything out.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, and then you could also put in manual entries too.
Yeah.
So there's the R&I like body side of it all, but then you could put manual entries in for like if you had to fix a dent, and then there was they had paint application for it too.
I gotcha.
That would automatically make up an estimate, and I was just wondering like if you could do something like that, maybe make your life a little bit easier because there was CCC and Autotex and a bunch of different these programs.
I gotcha. It might not be a bad idea to look into something like that.
Yeah.
Most of our cars are all the same. So like last week we did 2 of the same exact truck for the same company. So like and it's a Chevy 2500 that we've done, 150 of them last year. So we know I know it takes 4 minutes to take that taillight out. So we're a little old school as far as that goes, because I kind of treat everything. So now, like when the guy comes in with the supercar, I always do my research before I give him a bid. And this is, I give him kind of the what for, just so I can protect my company.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get into something and it ends up taking me, hours and hours longer because then you're not making money.
Sure.
You got to find that happy median. So it's always my goal to, do that research beforehand and then use that to execute and finish the project.
When you do it all, do you wax and grease remove everything? Do you have to clean the jams?
Oh yeah.
So it's like, do they come in like a day ahead?
Yeah,
day or two ahead of time,
usually I'll tell you, if you're going to bring your car to me for a full color change, I'm going to have it for a week, depending on, the application. If it's just a normal car, it'll be about a week. We hand wash it with Dawn to remove all the grease, and then we go back through and then we
Dawn has like a grease remover in it?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so if we're doing a full wrap, that's what we'll do. And then we'll go in and we'll wipe everything down with alcohol and water or a panel wipe solution. And then
does that help just get adhesion?
Yeah, well, no, makes that perfect surface. And then, we clay bar a lot of cars, because if you got an older car and it's been out in the weather, you don't want to wrap over that stuff because you're going to see the imperfections.
Or maybe like road grime and stuff.
Oh,
too.
Yeah, it gets everywhere.
Someone drive through tar
or there's a lot of that, Yep. So we get a lot of that. So yeah, we'll get them washed up and then we pull them in and we do almost like a really good exterior detail, remove any tar, grease, that kind of stuff. Road paint.
Charge for all that too.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, you can't just do that. There's a lot of time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yep. So we try to, always charge accordingly. And, there is some stuff that you see that you don't charge for. It's a game of averages is how I look at it. I just want it to be right, So
if you missed it during the estimate process, it's on you at that point.
Yeah. If I tell you it's going to be $4,500 to wrap your car, that's what it's going to be.
Cool.
It's not your problem that I broke some clips in the door and had to go buy new clips, or I didn't see all the tar on the bottom. That's on me.
Yeah.
There's no changing. I don't like surprises, so I don't think my customers would like surprises either, and that's just how I look at it.
Do you have, this is just totally side, do you have someone that brings you you have like an inventory of like clips, everything like that?
Yeah, I keep all that stuff in stock. We keep as much clips and stuff.
What company do you use for that? Is it ABS Supply? Not Dave with ABS Supply, is it?
No, it's not. So we get ours from a wrap supplier that we use. It's probably from overseas or Amazon even.
Yeah.
But there's some clips that we don't have that we'll just go to the dealership. If it's a certain car, we'll go to a dealership and get it. I broke a camera clip on a brand new Tesla Plaid a while back and went to the Tesla dealership, fixed it. I mean, I'm not going to, they
have it there at the Tesla dealership? You got to go there and pick it up. Where's our Tesla dealership at?
Chesterfield.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought Tesla was trying to stay away from dealerships.
I don't know. I
got one though.
We do quite a bit of Teslas. And I've come to realize, what breaks and what doesn't break on those and what you want to remove and what you don't want to remove.
Are they built kind of cheap? Do you like Tesla? Let's talk about that. You like Tesla?
I don't want one.
You're not a fan
I'm
of
a driver.
Yeah.
I like the experience. I like the rumble. I like the feel. Do I think it's
hear
cool?
The motor.
Yeah, the Plaids they're insane. They're super fast. They're really cool, but not for me. I'll take my old analog car with a stick shift that I can smell a little bit like fuel when I get out of.
Burns a little rich or something.
Yeah, just let me have that all day long. Yeah. I don't. We just went to the auto show, the wife and the family this weekend.
Louis?
Yeah, the one in St. Louis this weekend, and I told her, I was like, I'm not really impressed with anything because she's got an older Volkswagen Atlas, so we were kind of looking at different SUVs and stuff for her. I really like the Toyota 4Runners. They're so cheaply built on the inside still. They're so analog. I'm just like, I don't really care for all this new stuff. I drive it for the experience, even though my daily driver is just a truck, it's my truck. I like the way it sounds. I like the way it runs. You know, I got certain things that I buy for it. You know, do I need it? No, but it's what I like.
Sure.
You know, I like hearing my truck
Yeah.
rattling, you know?
Yeah,
like
you
I just
enjoy your
like,
truck day in and day
yeah,
out.
exactly. And I think for a car guy, like, is it practical? Maybe, but like, I mean, I was thinking Teslas might not be so bad when I was paying like $5.60 a gallon for my diesel fuel in my truck, but I don't like it. Like it's just not for me.
I've heard that I've never really got to work on a lot of Teslas. Never really had the opportunity to. I'm sure if I stayed in the auto body world, I would have got my opportunity to work on them.
Yeah.
I've heard the panels, like the metal panels, are thin. Is that true?
They're very thin. Yeah.
Very thin.
Oh yeah.
And I've heard like there's a lot of like clips.
A lot of plastics, a lot of hard, like brittle plastics. Yeah. The metal's very. That's every vehicle now.
Yeah.
All the newer ones. Because I mean, you're squeegeeing. You're applying a decent amount of pressure, and you can feel
the panel movement.
Oh yeah.
I always remember it was funny whenever I had I don't remember what kind of car. It was like something like a 4-door gasketer. Nissan Sentra, Toyota Camry, something like that. I don't remember what it was. I was working in the body shop, and it came in. It was hitting the front end. It wasn't hit bad, but the core support was bent, like the actual core support that goes across the radiator.
Yeah.
It was bent into like a triangle on the front. And it came in just at the end of the day. I used to leave, I'd say around like 3:30. So I had just pulled this car in at 3. I popped the hood. I assessed everything for the day. And I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do tomorrow. And me and another gentleman in the shop were looking at the car, and it's just little bitty core support. I'm like, man, this thing is just so fragile. I'm like, I bet I could damn near push this thing back down with my hand. And I was just joking around. I'm like, I bet I could bend this thing back with my hand. And I put my palm on top of the crest of where it bent up, and I just put some, not even all my body weight, just put my body weight back on it, and it flattened back completely. I was like, okay, that's getting bad.
Yeah.
Like that's getting bad.
It is. And you, like I said, we always do inspections on everything. I take pictures of everything, just like a pre-inspection, because
you have to.
You don't want to get blamed for that stuff, because some of the stuff gets outrageously expensive. You know, you'll lose real quick on that job if you make one mistake. You know, so you got to protect yourself.
Have you messed up bad on any of them?
Have I what?
Messed up really bad on any of them?
Like
some that cost you.
Oh yeah.
And like what would make them like a full rewrap? What would cause something like that?
Sometimes sometimes you get a batch of adhesive on a vehicle. We just did a truck, and I'm waiting for the new material to come in from Italy, and it's a complete rewrap. It didn't hold. It's got, you can see kind of like some weird glue lines and stuff, and called the manufacturer, and it was a faulty adhesive on that color.
Ooh. Do they reimburse you for it?
The material.
Yeah. Not the time.
Not the time.
Not the time to redo it all.
It's a game of averages. There, you kind of build that stuff in. You win some, you lose some. That's how I look at it. The main thing is just getting it taken care of and making that customer happy and fixing it. And
when you pull it off, though, is there leftover residue?
No, not on something that you do that soon. Mm-hmm. Now, years down the road, some of the vinyls will leave, some adhesive, obviously, but
the better the quality, the better they.
Yeah, usually, and then the time frame that you remove it in. A lot of them are like 2 or 3 years removable, and then 4 or 5 years it might leave some adhesive or whatever. But that's why you got to use the quality stuff.
Yeah, right. Like an average wrap on like just I guess it all depends on the size of the vehicle.
Yeah.
You get a little Miata, it's going to be a lot cheaper than a 4-door long bed pickup truck. Sure. Yeah, and I was just thinking, because it's something that everyone always kind of talks about, but I've never actually looked into wrapping it. I would love to buy something like an R8, or I would actually, a Lamborghini, just because it's a Lamborghini. I think I'd like to own a Lamborghini, but I think I would have it wrapped. Especially after seeing Whistling Diesels, I was like, I really like that thing.
Yeah.
Like he did copper wheels on it.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck? But
I don't like having the same thing as anybody else. So whatever I drive, regardless, is gonna be wrapped.
Yeah.
Or have.
I think that's why I got into modifying cars.
Yeah.
From the very get-go, was I just liked mine to be a little unique.
Well, it's an expression of yourself.
Yeah.
If you look at a certain vehicle, you can tell. Generally, like, okay, that guy, likes his cars. That guy, likes his trucks, whatever. I think it's an expression, and that's how gearheads express themselves is by their cars.
I remember I had a black Chevy pickup truck, and it's probably lifted up a little bit with big old wheels and meaty tires on it. And I remember I came out of the gas station, and a gentleman was standing there next to my truck, and he's like, "Hey man, I really like your truck." And I was like, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah.
I was flattered. And then he's like, "It looks like you." And I was like, "What's that mean?" Because it was at that time it was kind of rusted out and stuff. And I was like, "What the hell does that mean? It looks like me." But that's probably what he was meaning. He was probably just like, it was how I express myself. And he's like, I don't know, probably just fit me.
Yeah. It
was the first time I ever heard it, though. I was like, that's very interesting. Someone actually said that.
Yeah, if you look at, I always look at like Hot Wheels, and I'll literally just look at it, and it's weird because it's like, if I was a car, I think that might be what I would be. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe that, I don't. It's weird. It's little things like that. I think is like an expression of. It's just an extension of you. You know.
So with StickerGeek, where you plan on growing? Like you've been in business since 2019. You start out wrapping cars, and now you've moved on to doing full signs for businesses, still wrapping the cars. You guys added the detailing department, which is kind of connected, but also not connected.
Yeah, it's still same ownership and it's still same principle and all that. But
and will you make little metal signs and stuff too?
Yeah, we do that every day.
Do you do like because I asked because I'm actually interested in getting some signs made.
I'll take care of you.
And like I want one in my podcast studio here behind you for the wall, and I want just like I don't know, maybe 2.5 foot wide, about the size of my poster back there.
Yeah,
is about how tall I want it. I just wanted to say like and subscribe, but I just don't want it to look cheap. And I was like, do I get a poster made and just put it in a frame, put it on there? I want something in the background when people are sitting here watching the podcast.
A little dimension to it.
Yeah, something, and I was like,
I got you.
Yeah, can we do something? If I made up a little design,
if you want to send me the design, yeah, absolutely.
I'll get your email before you leave today, or maybe I'll just shoot you a message sometime because I've been thinking about doing that. Do you do signs of all sizes?
Yeah.
Because I used Vistaprint just the other day.
Yeah.
And I hate it, but it's like I don't know anyone around that can do it. Now I used to use another company to make like my sign out front of my building.
Yeah.
That sits like in the ditch, the big sign out front. I use a whole other company to do it too.
Yeah.
But if I knew you did it, I'd most certainly reach out to you because I want to have someone I trust.
Yeah.
Someone that I feel like I know that I can get a hold of if I have problems.
Well, that's the thing is making sure you take care of whoever it is, whether you know them or not. You always got to take care of the customer. They're spending their hard-earned money, and
right.
That's just how you have to do business.
The company that I was using, it's hard to get a hold of them. It's hard for me to call them. I've called, left voicemails, everything. The only way I could ever get a hold of him was I had to send him an email, and he finally emailed me back. And I'm okay with communicating that way, but I remember I had a question about something one day.
Yeah.
And it was just an idea. And I was trying to call them just to ask. And I called, left voicemails. I called like 3 times that week, never got a call back. And it went like a month later where I was like, I still need to do this. Mm-hmm. And I finally emailed him, and he got back with me. But it's just like, why do I got to put this much effort in?
Well, that's a problem in the industry. I can't tell you how many people call, and when I answer, they're like, "Oh, I called so and so," and I would never name drop or anything. Mm-hmm. It's not my deal.
I don't want to either. Yeah.
Yeah. So like you get. So I've made it a priority of mine, and don't get me wrong. I'm sure I forgot to call somebody back before. I do, but I really make it a top priority to make sure that everybody, whether they're getting a bumper sticker or a full wrap, gets the same kind of communication and the same kind of treatment. Just because you don't know where that bumper sticker can lead. But as you grow, you start realizing, so like I'll have people reach out to me, phone, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, my personal Facebook, text.
Yep.
I'm gonna forget something when we have that many lines of communication, and it's just kind of me, and not counting my business partner. So we actually have a different phone number on his truck that goes to his phone.
Yeah.
And sometimes those will get forwarded. Yeah. So I'm like, hey, we'll make it an idea to go down the line every day at the end of the day. Hey, did you check Facebook messages today? Did you check Instagram? Yeah. Did you send that email? Because it gets to be a lot. Even though we are a small company, we're pretty lean and mean. Like, we do a lot of work for the amount of people that we have. Mm-hmm. It's because we're efficient, but it's very difficult. And I've heard that a lot in this industry, because I'll get calls like, oh yeah, so-and-so, I called them to do, banners for our soccer tournament, and they never called me back. Well, I'm sorry that you had a bad experience. Let me help you.
Yeah.
And that's it. I leave it at that. I don't ever talk bad about another company in front of a customer. I just, sorry you had a bad experience. What can we do to fix it? Here's what we do. And then, that's just how you got to do it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. It's very important.
It is.
And I understand that, when you can communicate, like when people reach out on all those different platforms, it gets to be a lot when you're trying to do it yourself. Because I have it too, and people ask me certain questions about like my gym. They're like, hey, can you do this for me, or can you do that? And now a lot of people want to try to pay through Venmo, and it's just like, it gets to be a lot, because they'll try to. I'm not there on the weekends.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, hey, can I send you money for the month via Venmo? And I have a Venmo business page.
Yeah.
And it's to the point now where I'm like, I can't do that anymore, because it gets to be so much. Or they'll just send me money on Venmo for another month, and then they don't even tell me.
Yeah.
And my phone doesn't send me a notification for Venmo unless I open the app.
Yeah.
And so it gets to be too much. And so I totally understand that, because a lot of people, or they'll just ask me questions. They're like, hey, can you check on Monday? Maybe my membership's up.
Yep.
And unless I write a note, I put a note in my phone, but it gets to be a lot, because you can get Facebook and you just get from each one, mm-hmm. and you're like, who messaged me again?
Or and not counting all the phone calls you get in between that.
Yes.
It's very difficult. I make a list every morning, and my wife actually makes me go through my voicemails and delete the ones that I've dealt with, because you'll notice that sometimes your voicemail box gets, or your missed calls. Hey, did you call this guy back? Like, we'll be just driving to the auto show on Sunday, and she'll grab the phone and she'll be like, hey, did you call so-and-so? Yep, I dealt with that on Monday. Okay, delete.
Yeah.
And she kind of like goes through and gets me straightened out for the week. And then
the girl that used to work for me, she never would delete email or voicemails. So I'd come in and check the phone, and she would listen to them and handle them, but she would never delete them. So I didn't know if they were handled or not.
Yep.
And so I'm like, that's something that
then
always stressed me out.
You're calling somebody twice. They're kind of like, why are you? We already took care of this.
Yes. I'm like, delete the email when it's done. Write it down, handle it, delete it. That way, because I'm not there. Like this morning, I'm not at the gym. So I don't know what's going on there. So if everything's not put in the system right, and everything's not communicated right, that's where things start to mess up. And it makes us look dumb.
Yep.
Whenever I have to call, like you said, call a customer twice, and they're like, Alexis called me the other day, and I'm like, oh, crap. I'm like, all right, my bad. I'm like, well, I'm glad we got you handled. So most of the time they don't mind, but still, I don't like to deal with that kind of stuff. So future of the business, what are you thinking? Do you want to disclose that stuff yet?
Well, yeah, I'll talk about that business. Okay. So we've got a couple more ideas. We're gonna expand at the end of this year. We're gonna take over we're gonna split the second bay with Detail Geek. So I'm going to keep that one kind of lean and smaller, and we're going to expand our business. We got some new equipment coming. I'll keep that kind of under wraps. Sure. But, I mean, I don't know.
You just want to grow as far as, or you're going to be bringing in a whole new department, basically?
I don't know about department, because I want to make sure that whatever we do, we're successful. So like, I'll analyze it and I'll make sure that, this is the piece of equipment that we need. This is where are we lacking? Mm-hmm. Where are we least efficient?
Okay.
And, like we just bought a application table, which has been, I don't know why I would even have a sign company without one. Mm-hmm. But it's a game changer. It's a big investment, but we use it every day now, and it's paying itself off, you know. So
you get excited about buying stuff like that?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd when it comes to that stuff. Like, I've got a project that I'm working on now, just on the detail side, that, you know, I spent all weekend researching, and I ordered up some new buffing pads and some new equipment and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to try this. And like, I was at the shop at, 5:00 this morning working on and I'm like, oh yeah, there we go. That's what I,
that's awesome.
You do, because it makes my life easier. The less amount of time that I can spend there, I can be at home with the family, or
just less stress every single day.
Oh, I'm telling you,
when the job goes smoother, there's
a
whole lot less stress.
It is. The first part of the year was super stressful. It was like one thing after the next, and I was like, what? I just want to go get a job somewhere. I feel like you have that conversation with yourself, like, am I doing this? Am I making the right decisions here? But then I look back and I'm like, I am making the right decisions, and this is a test. Let's adapt and overcome. Let's fix the parts that need to be fixed, and let's move on. So I joke about it all the time. Yeah, it'd be so much easier just to go clock in. But then I realized that I did that for 18 years of my life, and I'm thankful for that. Like, I've always had a job. I've always been gainfully employed. I've always had a side gig. I've always had a side hustle, whatever. But to get up and know that, I'm helping other people provide for their families, and, like, creating an atmosphere that they enjoy going to, that, they're not all upset about having to come to work on a Monday.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, cool, let's go. What are we doing today? And
that's awesome.
It makes it easier.
Yeah.
It does. It just makes it easier for you. So, like, that part of it, that's the part that I like, is the game of it, the game and the wins and the losses, and why did I lose? Okay, well, I lost because X, Y, Z. So on the next one, this is what I got to do different,
There's something very thrilling and fun about that. The whole hustle of it all.
It is.
The journey of it all.
It is.
Have you ever heard, do you read any books?
I do read a few.
Podcasts? You listen to podcasts?
I do listen to podcasts.
This book I got back here. Oh, if I can.
Dale Carnegie. Oh, no, The Pumpkin Plan.
The Pumpkin Plan.
Okay, I've never read that one.
Mike Michaelowicz. I really like that book. I was suggested to that book by someone else.
Okay.
It just has a lot of, like, strategy for growing business. I really like these books too. These back to are just financial help books, and then this one's just like a communication type book that I really like. You must know Dale Carnegie.
Yeah, I've listened to a few of the audio books.
Have you,
I actually
this one?
Yep, I listened to that one.
I've never finished it. I'm trying to finish it. I'm now converting myself to audiobooks every day, because I can't finish a book because I read it and my mind just starts to go crazy, and I can't finish it. But if I could just listen while I drive, listen while I'm at the gym, like while I'm doing stuff, I can listen, and I might not pick up on it all. I do retain and take in better when I'm reading, but it takes me so much longer.
Yep. No, I made a goal this year for myself to physically read, because I'm an audiobook nerd. Like, I'll be working, I'll be wrapping a car, and I've got my headphones on, and I'm listening, but then I'll listen to the same book 3 or 4 times because I'm not 100% in, you know, because I'm still doing something else.
Yeah. I was the same way when I painted cars. I loved it.
Yeah.
That's where I learned so much.
Yeah.
I got it from podcasts and books.
Yeah.
But I had to do the same thing. I would listen to it, and I would have to re-listen to it a few times because I'd miss a lot. Someone starts talking to you, it's still playing in your ear.
Yeah.
But you got to communicate with them.
Yeah, you get a phone call, and you take it off for a couple minutes, and you just throw them back on, and you're like, I missed 2 minutes. What did I miss?
Yeah, and you're paying catch up while you're listening too.
Exactly.
The Pumpkin Plan has a lot of really cool just ideas in it for growing a business and ways to change it. And I've never finished it. I've never finished a book, so I never finished it. But there is some things that I've taken from it that have helped me grow tremendously.
Okay.
From the very beginning, I'm determined I will finish it one of these days. But Mike Michaelowicz is he has like some YouTube videos too.
Okay.
Where it's not the Pumpkin Plan. He also has another one called like the Toilet Paper Plan or something like that, or something like I'm not really sure what
I
it is.
got you.
Never read that one. I think this is the second one, but most people are like, if you already have a business, they're like, just jump to this one. That's what I was
The pumpkin
told.
plan. I'll take a note.
Yeah,
I'll get it taken
but he
care
has
of.
there's a podcast, or not a podcast, but he has like a live. He did like a show.
Yeah.
Where he got out in front of everyone and talked. And he did that. It's about an hour long. And I listened to it. It wasn't as good as the pumpkin plan from what I've read so far, but it did have some like very interesting keynotes inside it.
gotcha.
And the way he breaks it down very, very well. He puts things into examples. And that really helps me too.
Okay.
So that's a book I definitely recommend.
I will. I'm gonna put that in my notes when I before I leave.
It seems like the passionate people, they love growing. They love the process. They love the hustle.
You have to.
You really have to if you really want to grow.
Why do you want to do something and just exist? Like you gotta.
Yeah. I agree with that. I try to figure out why there's some people that are in business or some people that are doing some things that are doing just that. They're just there. They're not doing anything to grow their business.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you not care? Do you not want to better yourself?
Yeah. Well, I think you get comfortable. Like I said, I had an experience that I was comfortable. I got kicked out of the nest, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And then you don't realize how that feeling is. But then once you are, now it's on. Like, I'll fight to the death.
It was a fight or flight thing for you.
Yeah, I had a mortgage and 5 kids. Like there's no failing. Like you're not gonna fail. And I'll be damned if I let somebody else dictate if I fail or not.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like I'm gonna do this one way or the next, and here we are. We're still moving
Figuring
right
it
along.
out.
You know, and you do. You have to want it though, and you have to be aware. You have to learn from your mistakes. But I feel like
And
for
push
me,
past your fears too. Because there's a huge fear when starting.
Here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. So Howie actually, whenever I first messaged you to come on the podcast,
Yes.
David Hood, the guy that does my upholstery for me, he's like, when I was talking about the podcast, he's like, you got to have Howie on. I'm like, all right, cool. And so I look you up on Facebook. I add you as a friend, and I sent you a message.
Yep.
And you weren't really about it at first.
I'm terrified.
Yeah, you said
Honest.
you said you don't like to be on camera.
I do not.
And so, but it's crazy because you came and you sat down and you've done way better than some of these other guests I've had on.
Thank you.
It seems very natural for you. You're very good at communicating, and you're one of the first guests because we've never met before.
No.
Never spoke to you in my entire life.
Nope.
And I love the podcast for this because I get to meet so many just great people, hustlers, and yeah, you're the first person that I didn't know that came in and put the headphones on and did it because this was an immersive kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's one thing to come and sit down and talk to somebody you never talked to at a place you've never been before, but it's another thing to put the headphones on and you got to hear your own voice. Yeah. And we're sitting here. It's just different. And a lot of people aren't about it, but you're doing great. It's
Thank
like,
you.
I'm like, how did you not want to do it?
I was terrified. So like when I was a digital marketer, I would never want to be on camera ever, ever. I hated it. Like I'd freeze. I'd be, camera, freeze. So then, I was talking to my wife. I was like, so you asked me the first time and I kind of chickened out, made an excuse why I couldn't be here. Mm-hmm. And I got to thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? I need to do that. That's a fear. Mm-hmm. And no other way to beat that fear is just head on.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here, and I'm glad that I did it.
Yeah, I think I think people are really going to enjoy it. And I think that's the big thing is that that's what fear is a lot of times.
Yes.
Is just people can do a lot more than they're really capable of.
Yeah.
And it's just overcoming that fear. And once you overcome that fear, you're capable of way more than you really think you are. And it's a lot of times it's just the fear holding people back.
Oh yeah. I mean, anything that you do in life is when the only reason that you won't do it, it's not because you can't. It's because you don't want to, or you're scared.
Yeah.
You're fearful. Mm-hmm. And I think, like I said, once I dove into this entrepreneurship, I'm like, okay, what's the next plan? So I've got a couple other, like I said, plans for some geek companies, essentially. And, I enjoy it. Like I do all the marketing for for Detail Geek, because my son's 18 years old. So, we run things together, and he's the hard work behind it. There's some things that I have to do that, he's still learning, but, it's that drive and that, watching other people grow, helping him, watching him grow as a man, as a worker, as a business person, communicating with adults. Like that's what's fun to me, is watching that. And then I'm like, okay, well, we did this and we're doing this. So I want to make sure that I'm doing this the best of my abilities before I start another project. Because, I'm going to be honest, I have ADHD bad. If I don't focus on something, I'm doing 12 things at once. Like, I'm just being honest.
Yeah. I think the ADD thing.
Yeah.
They make it sound like it's a bad thing. But I know a lot of highly successful people that have figured out that they have ADHD. Maybe I think I have ADHD, not diagnosed ADHD from the doctor, but I definitely think I have that.
I think that's a trait that most business owners would almost have to have.
Yeah.
Because you can't just
you got to figure out how to use it though.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, you do.
Because you can let it just take over and run wild on its own, or if you can figure out a way to kind of harness it use
harness it or channel it for
yeah.
good.
Yeah, channel it might be a better way to describe it, but just figure out how to make it into a productivity thing.
Yep, absolutely.
And then once you can do that, because I have another guy that I know very well. He's in the business for himself. He's in the PDR world, and we've talked about it a few times.
Yeah.
And I think it's his wife that I remember said it one of the very first times, and I always kind of thought about it. And I'm like, nah, maybe not. And then I remember his wife, because me and him, when we get in conversation and we're talking about business stuff, we'll get each other worked up. And we're just running off each other, bouncing back and forth. Yeah. And it's hard to get us to stop talking sometimes. Yep. And I remember one time me and him were going back and forth, and his wife's like, you ever wonder if you guys have ADHD? And I'm like, I don't know. And then I got to thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, I probably do. And I think I've just learned how to, because I think as a young kid, I think maybe that's why I had some problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because my ADHD just ran wild. I didn't know how to control it.
That was me in school.
It made me emotional, and it just it came out just like vomiting coming out just uncontrollably, and it's just like once I started to learn to harness a little better, it made my life a whole lot better.
It is. It's very tough, but it's like anything, you just got to learn to adapt and overcome. I mean, it doesn't have to be a negative thing, but you got to work with what you got, Yeah. You only have what you were given. So you gotta figure out how to use whatever you have to the best of your ability.
Right.
And you got to find that. And once you find that, you're done. You do anything you want.
Yeah. I think it was a Dan Brazilian. Do you know Dan Brazilian?
Yep.
He was on Joe Rogan podcast. I think he talked about it. Him and Joe kind of talked about it a little bit. And I think that's where I kind of started first paying attention to it. I will say that from a younger age, also, because they make ADHD sound bad, you're very resilient against saying that you have ADHD. But it's almost could be like a mini superpower. But it came in more.
Yes.
I feel more like I got this extra energy once I started doing my own stuff. And I learned to do it in my own way.
Well, you can use all that bottled up energy to produce something or to, I was working on the Detail Geek website this morning. You can use those, because I'll wake up and I can't sleep, because my mind just doesn't stop. I got all these things I want to do. I'm almost 40. I want to get them done.
Yeah.
And if I don't do them now, when
I
am
do
I
the
going to
same
do
thing.
them?
I will wake up thinking about something.
And then I just have to do it.
Yeah.
I just got to do it. I got this picture in my mind. Last week I went in and I totally rebranded Detail Geek. I was like, I hate the logo. So I went in. I had a vision in my mind. I woke up early. I went in, changed it. Son came in to do some work, and I said, "Hey, I changed the logo today." He goes, "Oh, I like that much better." I was like, all right, it worked.
Awesome.
But you do. But that, like I said, if I didn't have that, maybe I wouldn't think like that. I wouldn't be as I wouldn't use my imagination.
Yeah, the creativity there.
The creativity.
I think it grows. I think you almost fuel the fire a little more once you get out on your own and you start doing your own thing.
Yes.
Because then you can learn to use ADHD as it needs to be used.
You put it in your tool pouch and use it.
Yeah. You wake up at 5 a.m. and you're like, I want to get after it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anybody else has to get up at 5 a.m. and do it. If someone, because there's a lot of times that it might be like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I want to try this out. And then I just go ham on it. And I might work on it till 10 or 11 o'clock at night, but I'm focused on it. I want to get it done. And I have all these ideas for it. And while they're fresh in my mind, I'm doing it.
Yep.
And so it could be at any time of the day. And I think there's one girl who came on my podcast. She said that her most productive time is 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Oh.
And she's working these really late hours, but she's just taking pictures and she's coming up with ideas. And it's just she probably has ADHD, and that's probably her
best
time.
zone.
That's her zone whenever she uses it best. And so it's just learning how to do it, and it's there's no right or wrong way to do it. You can't. It's not something that I don't know if it's something that can really be taught. It's something that you got.
And I feel like everybody's different too. Yeah. Everybody handles it different. So you can't teach.
If you had to tell me how to be the most successful, and you're like, this is how I do it, and I went and tried to do it your way, I don't think it would work for me. No. I don't think I'd move the same way. So I would have to just you got to learn the basics of it and then go out and try it on your own and figure out your own rhythm.
Yep.
To the whole
so and that's kind of what I do because I don't have a real high education or anything like that. So when I listen to people that are in the place that I want to go to, I don't listen to just one. I listen to a lot. My playlist blows people's minds. Mm-hmm. From Joel Osteen to Andy Frisella. Mm-hmm. But I take of all of those, I take what works for me and I use that. Same. Because I tell everybody, there's more than one way to wrap a car. Obviously we got one end goal, perfection, right? Mm-hmm. But you might wrap differently than I do, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. As long as we get the same end result, I don't care. Yep. What are you comfortable with?
Yep.
And I think everybody has their own way of learning, their own way of teaching, their own way of listening, their own way of growing. Mm-hmm. And, when you understand that, like I said, I didn't start growing till 36.
Which is so cool to hear. I love hearing it, and I hope other people that listen to this podcast understand that if you're not where you want to be at right now,
there's time.
There is time. And Gary Vaynerchuk, do you know who that is?
Yep. Yeah.
He talks about that all the time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's like, you can start over at 50.
Yeah.
He's like, it's just an age. It's just a number. It does not, the age means nothing.
And I look at, people are like, oh, what are you going to, how are you? I'm not even thinking about retiring because here's the deal. As long as I can travel in the middle of that and spend time with my family, what am I going to do sitting at home or sitting on a beach for a month at a time? I just want to grow.
Yeah.
I got a lot of stuff I want to do and I'm going to do it.
When you travel, do you have a travel card, credit card?
Yeah.
I asked that because I've been trying to take a vacation once a year to reset. Yeah. And I've noticed it really helps me reset, just take me out of everything and clear my head. And so I try to, right now, here in 3 weeks, I'm going to Florida.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and I'm very excited. I'm ready to go now.
I don't blame you.
This is my busy time of year, so I wait to the end of January. February is when I go on vacation. Yeah. But I've always been flying because I want to go somewhere warm. And I never got points for it. I just never thought about it. I didn't really think about people have been kind of telling me for years now, hey, you should pick up a credit card. You can get points for it. They're useful. Plus, it's not your money if you get hacked. You have someone kind of backing you up.
Yeah, you don't. Debit cards are. I got
not the safest.
Yeah, we won't go over.
That's fine. Yeah, but I've been asking people that. So, do you have one just for travel?
So we have a couple cards, and what I did when I funded the business, I didn't start with any loans, anything. It was all kind of hustling, just making it happen. Well, as you get bigger, you got to have some sort of credit. So nobody's going to give a brand new business a line of credit. So I had a Wells Fargo line of credit personally. And I order all my material on that. And then pay it off. Well,
So Wells Fargo line of credit,
but it was like, yeah.
What's Wells Fargo? Is it just?
It's just
like
a bank, yeah. Just Wells Fargo is just a bank, and what it was is like.
Did you put something down on collateral, or how did you get the line of credit?
It was based on my own personal credit, so it wasn't the business's credit yet. And we finally just this year was able to get our own line of credit, so I was able to get all of my own credit out of the business's name. Mm-hmm. And this is another thing that I've learned a lot about is how money works and how to make money work for you. Mm-hmm. And using other people's money, like there's a game, and that's how it's supposed to be played.
So then you got out your own credit.
I got that. So what I would do is we would use those points, and I would trade those points, and we'd get Lowe's cards, Home Depot cards,
these point
Foot Locker cards. But I also we went to SEMA last year as a company, mm-hmm. and we used the points off of that card to pay for the flights. So
what card do you use?
That's a Southwest card.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a Chase.
I was just looking at that. It was a Southwest flight card. And is it a business card?
Yeah, that one is.
It's the business card. So you get the most rewards or the most points off it, I think. I think like in every year annually versus like the plus or the premium.
Yeah.
So that's kind of something I was looking into. So it paid for the flight.
Yep, paid for the flights. And then while we were out there, I used that card because when you're traveling, your hotel and all that, we used for that card. Got back, paid it off, had a bunch more points. Got a gift card, $250 gift card to Lowe's. We go buy, a walkboard for the shop. Yeah. And that's how we did it. This is
all tax deductible too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Because it's all for business.
It's all for business. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't just take a trip to Maui and
no. I mean,
hang out on the beach and drink margaritas.
I mean, as long as you're talking about business. No, I don't know. I'm not a tax accountant yet.
Sure.
I've still got a ways to go in that aspect, which I'm learning a lot about that too. I mean, it's not something they don't really teach this stuff in school. Mm-mm. Well, and if they did by now, it's not relevant anymore. Yeah, because it changes all the time.
And I even like your accountant. I'm not saying everyone's accountant, but sometimes you got to learn it yourself and come to your accountant with ideas. Because your accountant's not always going to know. You can tell them what you want, like your ideas you have. Yeah. But it's better to be educated on it. That way you can be like, hey, can I do this? Because going on trips that are based around work, where you can write them off, could be something that they don't tell you about, but is possible. Or maybe like buying some equipment. Instead of paying the taxes on it, you could go buy some equipment that's going to make your business better, and then you're not having to pay so much taxes. And there's a whole lot to it, a lot of things, but unless you learn it yourself, your accountant might not just tell you.
Well, I feel like it's like anything. It's your job to if you want to own a business, it's your job to educate yourself in that department. And it's not only that; it's to protect you. There's a lot of bad people. Yeah. That and when you're dealing with money or credit or Social Security, you got to know, the questions to ask, the stuff to look out for, because the accountants have access to all of our QuickBooks. They have access to all of that. And, if you don't pay attention to that and you're not somewhat cognitive to how QuickBooks works or to, what goes in and out of your bank account, it could take its toll. Yeah. And I think that, that's all these things that you get to learn, sometimes the hard way, but these are all different things that you can learn as a business owner and that you need to learn. Yeah. It's part of it. And unfortunately, like I said, they don't teach you a lot of that stuff in school. And it's really unfortunate. Because if I would have learned this stuff when I was, 18, I would be in a lot different position than where I'm at now. Yeah. And I know that now, but am I grateful for the stuff that I've been through? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Because...
Yeah, you try to tell an 18-year-old kid you got to invest, you got to do all this stuff.
Yeah, but
it's hard. They're like, I don't have any money. I don't have any ideas.
Exactly.
It's a big risk. And it's hard to get. So sometimes you just got to let them learn the hard way.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. So I always say I'm like a shield of protection. So like with my son, with Detail Geek, I'm his shield of protection, right? I'm going to keep him away from the bad guys as much as possible. There's going to be some that get past me, but it's my job to kind of protect him from that and so he can learn as he goes. And, I always tell like my kids, hey, this is what I did and this is what it caused. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yep. That stove's hot. Don't touch it.
Yeah. I learned it the hard way.
I was the idiot that was like, oh, it's hot, huh? Watch this.
Yeah. Well, how hot is it?
It's not that hot.
Yeah.
I'll lick my feet,
Yeah.
But as you get older, and thank God I figured this out finally, you're able to teach them. And I think it's our duty to,
That's why I have this podcast.
You got to mitigate the risk for our children and our employees. Like, if you know somebody that's going down a similar path to what you did, and you know what the consequence of that path was, and you talk to these people and you're friends with them, whatever, your acquaintance, and you realize that guy is going down that same path that you went down that caused you this stress, this trouble, this whatever, and you don't say something to him, you're not doing your job as a human.
Yeah. Right.
Because I got a guy that I talk to regularly that I used to be his boss, and I won't say names, but he called me the other day and he was having a situation. Like he was struggling. So I said, where do you want to be in 3 years? I said, let's start there. Because he wants to come work for me. But he got out of the industry completely, did something else. And I said, well, why are you struggling right now? I said, he's having these issues, this, that, and the other thing. I said, well, what are you doing to solve those issues? And he said, well, nothing productive. I said, well, all right, well, let's fix that first. And I said, where do you see yourself in 3 years? Well, I don't know. I don't know if I see myself here. I said, well, you got to figure that out. Mm-hmm. Because whether you work for me.
Set some goals for yourself.
Whether you work for me, you work for whoever, you get back in the industry and you work for any other company, you're not going to be happy unless that's what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And you're going to let this current situation dictate the rest of your life. Like I said, you need to reel it in. I said, I can tell you what's not going to fix it. Going out and drinking and doing all that stuff is not going to fix anything.
Right.
But as a young adult, that's not how we all think.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not always the easiest thing to take a step back and be like, what do I have to do and make sacrifices?
But when you're forced to take those steps back, and you realize that, oh my God, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Mm-hmm. And
sometimes you need the perspective too, though.
You do.
Sometimes you need to go through the hell.
You do.
So you can look back and be like, okay, that's what I don't do.
Yeah,
so
exactly. And then I think it's our guy. It's our, as people that that reach out to us or that talk to us, or you got to guide them. You don't let that person make the same mistake, or at least give them some advice, because people are going to do what they want to do.
Yep.
They're going to do what they want to do. They're going to say what they want to say, do what they. But as long as I say, you know what, I gave it a fair shot. I warned him. Mm-hmm. I told him, if you go this way, it's going to cause this, and he went that way, and it caused that. But
usually the ones that are, if they come to you for advice, those are the ones that usually learn a little easier. Yeah. Than the ones that you just see them messing up, and you're like, hey, probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, it's fine. It's like, okay.
Well,
and at that point, it's just like, okay.
And I used to not be that guy until I made those mistakes, and I realized that, there are people, no matter who you are, there are people that look up to you.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
And you can tell who those people are.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get to that point in your life that people look up to you for information, or, because you're a good dad, or, you're a car guy, or you got a good job, you got a healthy business, it's your job to teach them. Mm-hmm. At that time, you have a responsibility, I feel like, and that's to
pass it along.
That's the best feeling in the world is when somebody looks up to you.
Yeah.
Whether it's because they seen you making the mistakes and they saw you come out the other side, that's the best feeling in the world. When I get those phone calls, and they're random, and I get them frequently, and I get I get them more now than I ever did, obviously. But when I get them, it makes me feel so good. And there's nothing better than trying to help somebody navigate through the game of life.
Yeah.
I think I think it's great.
It's a huge reason why I have this podcast.
Yep.
And why I have TikToks and I'll take segments from it, and I want to show people, things that I had to learn the hard way, and just be like, hey, if nobody's ever said this before, here's a clip of what to do or how to do it, and just anything to try to help people better themselves in life. Like I wish I had a podcast locally like this that had people on that I could learn from business, and that's a big reason why, for myself and for everybody else and the community. I mean, like the massive community that might follow this podcast. Yes, it's all just to help them grow in business.
It's a great thing
every single day.
Yep. And like I said, this isn't all about business for me. This was overcoming a fear.
Yeah.
This was kind of a personal thing, like fix this and so
staying uncomfortable. That's a great
way
to grow. Yeah.
Yep.
Howie, you want to end it right here? Call it quits here. You think this is a good spot to call it quits?
I'm good with that. Yep.
Howie, thank you so much for coming on my podcast. Yep. If you guys are still listening, make sure you guys make sure you subscribe, share it with your friends, hear Howie's story, hear some of the information he shared, and then go check out StickerGeek on Facebook, Instagram. I'm sure you have a website they could check out too.
rapstl.com.
That's the website?
That's the new website, yep.
And if you guys have any questions, I'm sure he's got his number on every single platform. Yeah. You can email him, you can call him, you can stop in his office. He's in Union, Missouri. Just give him some love. At least like his page on Instagram and Facebook. That always helps everybody out. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
See ya.